The rich do get richer, but it's not in the way that you think. Let's talk about it. My name is Arun Coumar and I am the driver, and this is an interesting topic for me. I came up with it while listening to entrepreneurship podcasts on a early morning walk, getting my exercise and mental stimulation and going through the whole thing, and I had this idea building up in my head that I felt was worth talking about. And my point in saying the rich get richer, it's clickbait, it is designed to shock you. And that's because I'm trying to disrupt a mindset that people have for themselves where they think that they cannot achieve the things that they want to achieve in life because they haven't started off with money. Nobody is willing to give them money. And they think that because of that, they are resigned to a mediocre life that they are going to resent forever. This is for that small group of people that feel that this is the case and will actually hear me in that I'm saying you truly can surpass your own self-imposed limitations of wealth and compound on those in order to truly become the most satisfactory, successful in whatever that means to you version of yourself. And the compounding is really what I'm talking about when I say the rich get richer. This isn't a conversation about billionaires avoiding taxes or loopholes or the cabal or some sort of conspiracy. This is a conversation about the nature of high quality people. And I'm speaking from an arrogant point of view, but nevertheless something I believe I'm qualified to talk about. As somebody who, over the course of my life, I've now been able to grow up in my income, far surpassing most of my peers in my age group, people I went to college with, things like that, purely off of the dedication and the opportunity that came with it that I've put myself through, in addition to the risks that I've taken over the last decade, basically. That, I do believe, qualifies me with a different mindset that has enabled me to change and separate my performance and the results that I have in the world compared to most of the people that I grew up around. And here is what I've observed as far as the truth around the rich getting richer. Rich people, and when I talk about that, like I said, I'm not talking about billionaires, I'm not talking about that realm. I'm talking about people who have a significant amount of disposable income that they have generated through either becoming a very high-level employee in a company, perhaps they have stock options that they earned from vesting through being a part of a significant growth in the early stages of a company and the sacrifices and effort and skill sets that went along with building that company and the role they had in it. But it is also applicable to business owners, entrepreneurs, self-employed people who made something of themselves. They built a company, they built a solo practice in being a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer or an accountant, or maybe they built a business that distributes stuff or manufactures stuff or is a service-oriented business. There is so many different things that people can do in order to generate wealth. And in this case, I'm talking about outsized levels of income that has enabled them to find themselves in a position where they can make investments in themselves, in others, so that they can continue to grow their money and compound upon itself in that way. However, what I also want to focus on here is the skills that got that person to where they are. Whatever the skills are, whether it is being a doctor or an accountant or some sort of software engineer that helped build a company in the Bay Area especially, we see a ton of this, or an entrepreneur who took a ton of risk, they pushed all their chips into the middle of the table and bet on themselves and they won and they see a huge amount of cash flow coming back in. These are all stories that have resulted from a significant amassing of skills. They've gathered up lots and lots and lots of skills and they are now really damn good at something. That is what you see in people who are able to earn these outsized amounts of income, is they are just plain good at stuff. But the thing that comes with that is the people who these rich people are going to interact with. They want to interact with other people who are good at stuff. This is the most critical point of this whole conversation, is that good people want to work with other good people. And I'll put myself and my experience on display here for what I'm talking about. I used to be an accountant and I used to do my own taxes. And in that process, when I got into business for myself, I did my own taxes for several years because I had a really simple tax return. But as my businesses became more complicated and I got multi-level legal entities and S corporations and different states getting involved, and I just wanted somebody who knew more about all the different regulations to help me out, help me limit my tax liability, et cetera, make sure I was in compliance, all those things. And I had to hire 4 different firms over the course of 4 years because I could not tolerate the level of incompetence that I found in the tax firms that I was using. The first year that I hired somebody, they delayed my tax return by 2 weeks post-filing date because they forgot about it. That's a good starting point. When they finally got it to me, it was so full of errors that I basically had to redo the entire thing myself. Fast forward a couple of years, I felt like I massively overpaid in the second year, so I let go of that company. And in the third year, I got a draft of my tax return, and I personally identified $23,000 in tax savings that a simple staff accountant couldn't figure out on my tax return. I'm out of the game. I was never a tax accountant. I was an accountant about, at this point, 7 years earlier. And somehow I was still able to do better than somebody who's doing this day in and day out. And so, again, I let go of that firm. And I actually ended up getting money back from them for my fees because it was so bad. So, come to 2025's taxes. And I found a guy who's just a guy. And he lives alone in a very large house local to me here. He has a house full of taxidermy animals from Africa, Wild West. I don't know where they were from. And he was a very eccentric guy, but you could see there was a lot of money around in his life. And I went into his house for a meeting to finalize my tax return earlier this year. And he proceeded to save me $30,000 in taxes in that meeting. And he basically proposed a different strategy that required creating some legal documents and moving some money around. That was a completely legal tax strategy to save a significant amount of money on my taxes. And in doing so, he completely earned his fee, like 10 times over, basically, for that company. And so because of that, I'm going to use him again, because I have trust in him that he is competent, that he is highly capable at what he's doing, and that I can trust him to do the same job again. And so at this point, he can kind of name his price because I'm already committed. He's earned my business to such a high degree that he can name his price. And as a result, probably make a good amount of money on me, probably create quite a lot of profit. And that's the kind of thing that we hope to do in our businesses as well. Driven Auto Care, We Are Driven, is massively over-deliver so that you feel so compelled to come back that you don't even really care how much you're paying, because the feeling that you get out of working with us is so good that you absolutely have to come back. And that's the whole point, is that if you find those kind of people in your life that are so good at something that you absolutely have to keep them, you don't care if they make a profit. Simultaneously, you have to earn the right to work with them because they are going to be expensive. And so you have to be making your own money in order to hire them in the first place. You have to be good at something too. And so this is what I'm talking about when I say the rich get richer. I'm really talking about good people finding good people to work with. And as a result, both sides generating a significant amount of profit by working together, by sharing networks, by sharing connections, so that these people can all work together to create better value all around. This is super, super critical for you to think about if you find yourself on the other side of this. If you're saying, I don't have the money, I need somebody to give me the money in order for me to get started, you are never going to get it like that. That is not how this works. People have to see something in you that is a skill that will create a value exchange that will get people to give you money. That's it. Stop creating excuses for yourself by saying that it takes money to make money and that only if you start out rich can you continue to get rich. You can get over the hump. You have to invest a significant amount of time and effort into your skills. You have to buy that extra educational program that you can't afford in order to learn the skills that you need. You have to continuously implement and iterate on the skills and the delivery of your product and your sales strategies and your customer relations and everything that you're doing in order to continue to grow. You have to continue to build these skills and build these skills and build these skills so that you can earn the outsized income that I mentioned in the beginning that qualifies you to be in the wealthy and the rich category here. And at the end of the day, that is how you can join the rich in order to continue to get richer. That's all I got for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a like and leave a comment below if you have any questions or feedback. That's all for today. Stay driven.